also we seen the previous council, we upped our tipping fee rate in last June. So we noticed that it'll double because we almost doubled it, and that's part of the spike in the revenue, but also the revenue side has a lot. If you divide that material into it, you know that there's lots going into it. There's no question about it. So that's how there's 3 ways to track it. And then the drone survey. The drone survey is the truth.
Yeah, no.
Teller of truth.
No, absolutely. I'm just more or less wondering the difference in household garbage versus construction waste, right? As in, like, you know, it says in this report here, extrapolated for 1 year, 14,400 meters cubed of waste hit the landfill. What was 8,000 of that construction waste? Was 10,000 of that construction waste? That's basically what I'm trying to see and visualize is how much of the waste that's going in the landfill is from construction, right?
The easiest way probably be through our construction demolition grinding tender. It's because like I said, we don't have weight scales there, but each load comes in when you bring your triaxle. There's it's a measurement of cubic meters, but that would be a huge process to go back and you have to check on every load. But at the end of the year, we have a pile of C and D, right? And it gets measured, and that's how we tender out the other ground.
Okay.
So there is that number, which would be the closest estimate to figure out what is C and D and what's garbage.
I think that's important. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'd like to know that.
No.
Councillor Olszewski, do you want to finish first?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's just something like if it isn't too much of a hassle, if you have an attendant there, just say, have them write on the ticket because you're billing me or you're billing Miles or you're billing whoever when they're bringing in garbage, just write on the ticket, Miles brought one of his bins full of construction waste, right? Approximately 6 meters, right? Then we'd be able to put into this number how much is household and how much is construction, right?
But yeah, there is an easier way.
Demolition.
Those all go into the construction pile.
Yeah.
And then the pile itself gets measured.
Okay.
So it's easier than trying to get the attendant to track per load per whatever. You just measure the pile at the end of the season.
Okay.
And we have those numbers.
Okay,
great.
It's in the annual reports.
Yeah.
Every year, how many bags of garbage.
Yeah.
And it's actually counted.
Absolutely.
So we have data for that, for garbage versus C and D.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, garbage, I found, is hasn't spiked that much as opposed to C and D. That's what I see.
Okay.
Yeah. Councillor Micah?
So thanks, Joseph, because that's exactly what I was trying to figure out. Is it an increase in population in general, household garbage, that there's going to be more and more and more because we've got an increase in population? Or is it these sort of just an anomaly of a year or two of COVID, boom, kind of with a couple of big projects? I mean, regardless, we have to look at solutions because this capacity we're not talking about a 50-year time period here. We're talking about 8 versus 14. So I mean, it's the panic level of how quickly do we need to move. We need to move, but it's the pace of how quickly. So that's very important to me, for me to understand that. And it also feeds into the diversion aspect of what you were saying, Councillor Schulist. I agree with you, mattresses, but again, with construction demolition, is there a way to look at potential diversion that way? Whether that's separating out materials that could be burnt or could be recycled or could be, you know what I mean? Like and that's your job through study, but those are the things that I'm thinking about when we talk about diversion. And mattresses, I mean, are they like what, fridges used to be? Do we pile them all in one spot and then once a year we, sell them or tender them to get rid of mattresses in one shot, couches, like, those are the big conversations regarding diversion. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's a money-making opportunity, I don't know. I mean, these are the things I'd like to see if we proceed with a study to look at potential diversion opportunities, because that's the biggest impacts. If we're not talking basic household garbage, then we're talking the big stuff. So what do we do with it?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Councillor Mike. And I'm going to interrupt right now. I think Sue has a question, but then I'm going to cut the conversation right now. We do have 4 other delegations, so we've spent a good length of time on this. So I'll let Sue ask the final question, and then we'll close the session.
Thank you, Mayor Wilmer. It's not a question, just more a comment. I will provide council with a copy of the 2022 to 2027, the work agreement that was brought forward, Tim, that was approved, and those costs that we just outlined were in there, and they were approved as such. And so that is what we'll be bringing back to budget as well. So I do want to confirm that what I'm hearing at the table here, for the sake of staff direction and your direction, is that we are proceeding with the work plan as was provided in 2022, which is prioritizing, identifying that study that states if we are moving forward with expansion and or at the same time looking at new sites. Is that correct?
Are we in agreement with that, just generally? Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. That is the direction we'd like to head.
Okay, so I will make sure that either Gwen or I provide all of council with that agreement that was signed in 2022 with the 2022 to 2027 work plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim, and thank you, Alana. Really appreciate it, and very good explanation.
All right, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Alana and I. We're definitely available, beyond this if you need some help.
Okay. Thanks again.
All right. Bye now.
All right, we'll move along shortly to our second delegation, which is Jennifer Gruntz from MPAC regarding property assessments. Good morning, Jennifer. Welcome to our council meeting today. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the screen over to you for your presentation, and I'll let you proceed from here.
Sure. I think, good morning, first of all.
Morning.
I think Gwen has my presentation to present, I believe.
I know we do have hard copies of it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I apologize. I've only done one council meeting before, so I wasn't sure that I was supposed to. I sent it in ahead. If you give me a second, I can probably figure out how to present it. Just give me a second. Gwen, are you able to present my presentation?
I can give it a try. Might I suggest a 5-minute recess while we load up the presentation?
Yeah, here, I can try and, sorry, I didn't realize that. I can probably try this share screen.
I think what we'll do, Jennifer, we'll call a 5-minute recess and we'll get the technical issues worked out. And because I think we've been sitting here quite a lengthy time already anyway. So
okay.
Need a mover in a second.
Everyone could use a break.
So I need a mover to take a 5-minute break. Councillor Schulis, the seconder. Councillor Blank. Okay, and all in favor? And that's carried. Okay.
year, Ontario has grown by approximately 45,000 new residential homes. And in 2022, we've added more than 37 billion to Ontario's assessment roll. Sorry, this is not. So just to kind of give you a quick overview about how all of the players coincide. So there's 4 key players. So we have the Ontario government, we have MPAC, municipalities, and the property owners. So the provincial government, specifically the Ministry of Finance, is responsible for setting assessment and taxation legislation, as well as policies. They also determine the education property tax rate. And then in addition, there's an independent body that adjudicates the appeals for MPAC's assessed values, and that's called the Assessment Review Board. And that falls under the jurisdiction of the province. Secondly, we have MPAC, an independent, non-for-profit corporation funded by all of Ontario's municipalities. And our role is to accurately assess and classify all properties in Ontario. And we do this in compliance with the Assessment Act and regulations also set by the Government of Ontario. We are accountable to the province, municipalities, property taxpayers, and Ontario through a board of directors that is comprised of provincial, municipal, and taxpayer representatives appointed by the Minister of Finance. And then third, we have the municipalities. So municipalities determine their budget requirements and set tax rates and collect property taxes to pay for municipal services such as fire, police, roads, recreation, water, and among many other things. Typically, municipalities use MPAC's assessments and establish tax rates to distribute their tax requirements to the ratepayers. And then finally, we have the property owners. So they're the ones that pay the property tax bills and help set market value through ongoing property purchases and sales. So, too far. So as you can imagine, okay, are you on? There we go. So maintaining Ontario's property database is very important. Property data is continuously updated so that municipal records are accurate for when our important tax decisions. So maintaining Ontario's property database includes inspecting and assessing new constructions, additions, and renovations in a timely manner, responding to property owner inquiries, and working to help them understand their assessment. Education is key for most of this. So we also support our municipalities using the Municipal Connect, where they can grab all of our up-to-date assessment-related information. And then we also work collaboratively on projects that are ongoing. So like, for example, our digital building permit system that has just been implemented. Monitoring the market and assessing newly built and renovated properties are things that we do every day to keep our property data current. So regardless that there's no reassessment, these are just day-to-day objects that our property inspectors are out doing. We also update every single property assessment in Ontario based on the same legislation valuation date, and we call this an assessment update or reassessment. The valuation date for the most recent assessment update, which took effect in 2017, is January 1st, 2016. This is when we determined what every property in Ontario could have reasonably sold for in current state and condition at that particular point in time. So we don't get to decide that. Provincial legislation determines when MPAC conducts each province-wide assessment update and sets the valuation date for each update cycle. The reassessment that was scheduled to occur in 2020 was postponed by the province to provide stability and to enable municipalities to respond on challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. And as a result, property assessment continued to be based on the legislative valuation date of January 1st, 2016. For new buildings or structures, MPAC determines a value as of January 1st, 2016 to ensure equity when comparing to existing properties. Ontario's property tax system is based on everyone paying their portion of what it costs to deliver community services. To do this, all properties are assigned a value at a common valuation date noted in the prior slide. This principle is called current value assessment, or CVA. This is the price a property might reasonably be expected to sell for if sold by a willing seller to a willing buyer after an appropriate time and exposure on the open market. If there is no new update, January 1st, 2023 is Ontario's legislative valuation date for the next assessment update in 2024. This valuation date is set by the provincial government. This means when MPAC completes the next assessment update, all properties will be valued based on their state and condition as of January 1st, 2023. Property owners will receive an updated property assessment notice from MPAC in 2023 based on the January 1st, 2023 valuation date, which will be used by municipalities to calculate property taxes for the 2024 to 2027 property tax years. So this slide explains what happens when there's an assessment update. The phase-in program was introduced by the province to provide an additional level of property tax stability. When properties experience a market increase in the assessment value between assessment updates, the increase is phased in gradually over the 4 years, 25% each year. If there's a decrease, the assessment flatlines right away. So let's just take a little minute. I was going to explain some of the valuation part of the assessments. So in Ontario, there are 3 industry-wide standardized approaches to valuing properties. So we have direct comparison, income, and we have cost. In your municipality, 90% of your properties are direct comparison, which means residential properties. So what happens with those is that recent sales of comparable properties are analyzed to provide an indication of value. So an example would be residential properties, condos, and vacant land. And there's 5 main factors that build those values. So location, lot dimensions, exterior square footage, quality and construction of a home, and the age of the property. The second one would be the income approach, which is the ability to earn revenue is tied to the real estate and not the business that may be run from that location. So in other words, it's not the revenue being generated by the Walmart, rather it's the income by way of the rent that the landlord can generate through the ability to lease the space. The third one is the cost approach, and this one is used when a property type is unique and rarely sold. So you can't rely on the direct comparison approach or the income as it determines current value due to lack of data. So with the cost approach, what we do is we calculate the cost of replacing buildings, structures, or other accessible fixtures on the land. Then apply a deduction for the depreciation on all structures due to age, as well as any functional or economic adjustment if there are conditions impacting the value of that property. Finally, we determine the value of the land and add it to produce an overall valuation. So a lot of these would be, examples would be general purpose industrial properties, small retail, gravel pits, warehousing. In your municipality, you have minimal of that. It's like a total of 123 properties. So why does MPAC visit a property? So we have to have a reason to come on site, and there's a few main ones. So one of the first ones is if there's a sale on the property, we will investigate it to determine that the value of that sale is reflective of what the property, how it exists today. If we have a request from a municipality or a property owner, we will visit the property. If there's a building permit taken out, property owners have the right to request a request for reconsideration and or appeal. So our role is to take building permits, plans, and turn them into assessment. Our municipal stakeholders rely on MPAC assessments to levy property tax. The sooner that we can deliver assessment, the sooner you guys can realize new revenue. So every year, MPAC processes on average about 300,000 building permits for new development or renovations. So after we assess a property or change in assessment, we mail the property owner a property assessment notice, which is typically done in the fall. If there's no changes, they don't get a new assessment notice. But if there is, they will get one in the fall to advise them of how their property assessment has changed. And at times, they don't agree with their assessed value. So they might connect with you to say they disagree with their assessment. But I just want to give you a few tips on how you can help mitigate some of those questions. So one of the things we always ask is, could you have sold your property on January 1st, 2016 for the assessed value? If the answer is yes, then your property is fairly assessed. Ask them if they visited Built My Property. It's a valuable resource. There's lots of information on there. You can review your own information to ensure it's accurate. You can also use that as to find comparable properties to yours. It shows you the sales in your area. So that's a really valuable tool to self-serve for as a property owner. And if property owners still disagree with their property assessment and they are unhappy, then they have the option to file a request for reconsideration, which is free of charge. And typically through there, what we will do is we will review the property and make sure that the data is all up to date. If we still disagree after that, then they also have the option to file to the Assessment Review Board, which there is a cost depending on the type of property that you have, but there is a second option. And the best way for them to do so is to go onto impact.ca website, and they can file everything right online there. And if not, they can contact the local office, and someone will be happy to help them work through the process. So since we haven't had a property update or assessment update in a while, we have also been trying to put together some resources and implement a strategy about some of the misconceptions between the relationship between assessed values and taxation, including resources for yourselves and for property owners. So there is a digital toolkit, and it's available on impact.ca. And it can help municipalities, elected officials, homeowners, and it helps mitigate some of the information and provide some support and resources, basically just to educate and inform property owners. In the digital toolkit, you can find this new video, and it's a very simple video about how property taxes are calculated based on the assessed value of your home. I'm not sure, would you like to watch the video? Or would you like to watch it on your own?
I think we'll watch it on our own, just because we are running a little late.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I was thinking in time. Okay, perfect. So it's in the presentation. So, and then there's just a few options for us to stay connected. You can subscribe to In Touch, which is our monthly municipal newsletter, or you can visit our municipal resource library on impact.ca. So thank you very much for having me today, and I'm happy to take any questions, or happy to visit the office at any point in time. I know Sue and I have talked about making regular visits to help inform the ratepayers and yourselves. So,
all right. Are there any questions from any members of council? No? Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. And yeah, I agree. I think if you could make regular visits to help out the ratepayers, it would be very appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for your presentation. It was very informative.
Okay. Yeah, any questions, please feel free to reach out or reach out to Sue, and she can let me know if we can help in any way.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
Okay. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right. Before we move on to our next delegation, I'll just ask the CA clerk to give some background. This is for the record management presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Wilmer. I provided council just with a background information for the sake of new council members, so that you may know where the suggestion came from, the council direction, as well as the staff goals and objectives that were to the end of 2022, moving forward to 2023. So basically, under the background information, I have the resolutions of council. in 2022, leading us to a records management retention program, which includes archiving. We've prioritized that the building department, specifically septic permits and building permits, need to be archived. They need to be scanned and be made available. And then we had prioritized having to remove some of the hard copies of those files, the paper copies, in order to be able to have an extra office downstairs, which has been very beneficial. So for your information, basically I outlined 5 background information. They were all resolutions, and they've all been implemented. And under the financial impact, just wanted council to be aware as to the fact that the phase 1 that we've done, the treasurer had secured some grant funding in order to proceed with those steps for records management. And that allowed us to retain, in order to proceed, we needed to have a software and some hardware that was required. And I wanted to thank Nina for agreeing to speak to what Tom Rims is and explain what that is. And as well, after that, we'll hear from Mark on Image Advantage. When Mark is speaking, you can let them know about the history with Madawaska Valley and what you've done for them in the past. So thank you, Mayor.
All right, well, Tina, welcome, and welcome, Mark. I'll turn the presentation over to you now, Tina, and let you proceed with your presentation.
Sure. Good morning and Happy New Year. Thank you so much for allowing me for a few minutes to present myself. I have a PowerPoint presentation, but I think in the interest of time, I'll just present myself and provide a little context for who we are and what Tom Rims is. So my name is Nina Carter. I'm the CEO and principal consultant of a company called the Information Professionals. We were actually founded in 1988, so we're a 35-year-old company. And we specialize in municipal records management practices. So currently, of the just over 400 municipalities, we have 286 customers using our product called Tom Rims. And so it's our pleasure to include Madawaska Valley as a client of ours using our product called Tom Rims. So Tom Rims is an acronym for the Ontario Municipal Records Management System. And basically what it is it's a file plan and retention schedule. It was created in 1990 with AMCTO, so InfoPros and AMCTO partnered together to create this product called Tom Rims. And basically what it is, it's the whole framework or structure, everything that you need to help you as a municipality in the province of Ontario be compliant with the laws and legislation that you are required to adhere to. And so basically, we provide you with the framework, so the structure and all the, it's like a summary of all the laws, if you will, as a municipality in the province of Ontario have to comply with. And we essentially partner with Mark and his team to take that Tom Rims structure and put it into the software. So basically, in a high level, I guess we can say, before you press delete of an electronic document or shred a paper document, you have to comply with certain laws and legislation. Tom Rims provides you with those laws and legislation to say, okay, at this point in time, you can actually dispose of these documents. And so with that, we come in and we train your municipal staff members on what records management is, what their responsibilities are, and how to use a product like Tom Rims. So that's basically at a high level. I know we only have 10 minutes to get through the 2 presentations, so I really just wanted to give you sort of a high level overview of who we are and what Tom Rims is.
All right. Thank you. I'll just ask council quickly if they have any questions so far. No. All right. So there are not any questions, so we'll continue on.
Great. Thank you so much. I guess I'll introduce my colleague on the call this morning, Mark Didymus.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nina. And very nice to see you again. And yeah, so nice to see the members of the council and Suzanne. So my name is Mark Didymus, and I'm Sales and Marketing Manager of Image Advantage Solutions Incorporated. We're a document scanning and archiving company located near Kingston, Ontario. And actually, how are we doing for time?
No, you're fine, Mark.
You were fine for time.
Yep.
Oh, okay, so I have until maybe 20 after 12, something like that. Is that okay?
That sounds fine, yep.
Okay, very good. So actually, Nina, I'm going to be showing timelines in a little bit more detail too, because I want to sort of show how it is structured inside a file hold, of course, but this is all be old hat for you. So okay, so I'm just going to share my screen then. So the first thing I'm going to do is just do a little PowerPoint presentation of who Image Advantage is and where we come from. And I think this is actually part of your agenda package too, but so you may have already seen this, but I'll go through it anyway. So we're Image Advantage Solutions Incorporated. We're located near Kingston, Ontario. We were founded in 1998. I'm the original founder of the company, and we sold the company back in 2014 to my right-hand guy, Chad Happy, and he's been running it successfully since then. So as you can see, we've done document scanning services for over 80 municipalities in Ontario, and we currently have 45 municipalities in Ontario that have our file hold electronic document and records management system. So what we do is we don't just do the file hold system. We don't just do electronic records management. We also do document scanning services. So there is a plan to get your building files, your planning files, your drainage files, that kind of stuff digitized, and I'm talking to your municipality about doing that service also. So as you can see, we can scan any of sizes, paper documents, bound books, large format drawings, photos, slides, negative film, pretty much anything that you have, we have the capability of digitizing that. We currently have 24 operators that all they do is feed paper into scanners. So we started off fairly small, but we're getting bigger. That's a Fujitsu 6670. That's our sort of workhorse scanner. We probably have about 30 of those. And these scanners give the very best image quality of any scanner available on the market today. That's a Context HD Ultra, so you have a lot of large format drawings. So we have the capability of scanning those also. So this is a list of all of our 80 Ontario municipal clients. The ones that are shown in red are the ones that are file hold clients in the county of Renfrew. So as you can see, we have Renfrew, Warren Pryor, Whitewater Region, McNabb, Braeside, Ritter, Madawaska, and Bonnechere Valley currently using file hold. And here's a map of all of our Ontario file hold clients, and I sort of zoomed down because we also have the city of Kenora and the municipality of Sioux Lookout, but they're way out on the top right of the top left of that. But as you can see over to the right of where you are, there's those 6 municipalities in the county of Renfrew. So what is electronic records management? So electronic records management is a computer-based system for managing all of your electronic paper and emails of an organization. So pretty much all of your documents and records of the organization. So a vision of moving forward with electronic records management, sort of why you're doing this, is to ensure compliance and regulatory and municipal requirements for records management. And Nina will attest to that, is that once you have an electronic records management such as this, then you are much more compliant with municipal regulations and what they have. So it also provides the staff with an easy, intuitive interface. Also, with the COVID, you have a lot of staff possibly still working from home. So instead of the staff having to drive into the office to pick up records and work on the records and drive them back, etc., everybody can work on the records from home, access one central location, one central repository for the records with workflow and version control, etc. So manage the creation and growth of records, etc. The benefits of this is backup in case of disaster. So there have been municipalities, so especially with some of the fires that we've had lately, train disaster, and with again with the global warming or whatever, things are getting, you know, so weather events are becoming more severe. So it's important not to have all of your records just in paper in one location. So, you know, digitize them, have them backed up in a different location. And we've actually had municipalities that have had their servers hacked or whatever it might be. And they were able to back their records up from a remote location and be back up and running within a day or so. Sue already talked about freeing up valuable office space. So once the records are digitized, you can shred much of your records. I'm not talking about your bylaws, minutes, or assessment rolls. Those are your permanent records. But some of the planning records, some of those other building records can be shredded if you want. Or Image Advantage also offers the service of storing those records for you in our secure facility here near Kingston. So that's going to free up a lot of your office space once we get all that paper out of there. Compliance with government standards. Easy to distribute documents inside the organization. No more lost files. I'm sure all of you have spent a certain amount of time trying to find files from 10 years ago when you get an MFIPA request or something along that line, and it may take you a week to find what you're looking for. So when you get an MFIPA request, you just do a search on that person's name or the property assessment roll number or whatever it might be, and all of the records come back to you, and then you can easily comply with that request. Saves on wear and tear in the paper records, reduce paper records filing costs, increases security, and improve decision-making inside the organization. Just to let you know that you're already a client of ours. We've digitized all of your, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we came and took away all of your bylaws and council minutes and digitized those. So be aware that, and that worked really good for bylaws and council minutes, because once a bylaw is created, there it is. Once a minute is created, there it is. Bylaws and council minutes are a static collection. Once they're created, they don't change. That is not true also, though, for building, planning, and septic records. Those are dynamic records where you're always changing them, adding to them, and things like that. And when you get into digitizing those types of records, then you do need a true electronic document and records management system to so that you can add to those collections, delete records from those collections. And then also, of course, those collections are also managed with retention, which is all of the legal retention as described in TOMRIMS. Okay, so that's why, and of course, we don't call it a paperless office because there's always going to be paper, but we do call it a less paper office. Okay, so that's just the bit of the PowerPoint presentation. I'm actually going to show you sort of a bit of TOMRIMS here. So here's actually, it may be a couple years old, so Nina's looking at it going, oh yeah, that's you know, vintage, a little bit vintage, but it'll give you the idea. So the primary headings of any Ontario municipality are as you see here. So I can walk into your offices, open up a file drawer, or look at any one of your computer files, and those files will fall into one of these primary headings. Then they're denoted by one capital letter. Secondary headings are, as you see here, they're denoted by 2 digits numeric. And here's all the types of documents that we would have in the administration department, council boards and bylaws, and et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the retention schedule. So here's the secondary classifications here. And here is the legal requirements for storing those records. And we do suggest that you conform to this. So policies and procedures, 15 years subject to archival selection, telecommunication services, et cetera, travel and accommodations, 1 year, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's also the legislation citation table. So these are all the laws that determine how long you must keep your records and what the laws say about keeping those records. Do you have anything to add to that, Nina?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. No, except I can hook you up with the most recent version. But essentially, at a high level, that's what TOMRIMS provides.
Yeah, Chad has it. This is just the one that I have linked.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. No. I should probably early this year. I should get the newest version and link it up. So, but this is just for demonstration purposes and does give you an idea. So, okay. So the file holds electronic document and records management system. So FileHold, the software is FileHold Incorporated out of Burnaby, BC. So the nice thing is that FileHold is a Canadian company. We're located near Kingston, Ontario. We're a Canadian company. Nina's located in Ottawa. She's a Canadian company. So everything that we're doing, that you're doing with us, is all Canadian, and that's important because there are laws determining that you must keep all of your records located inside of Canada, whether they be paper or electronic. So there's, and Image Advantage Solutions Incorporated is the FileHold partner for all of Ontario. So there's 3 ways to access FileHold. What we're looking at here is called the FileHold desktop application. So this would be installed on all of your local computers. You can also access FileHold if you're at a computer that doesn't have the desktop application installed on it. You can also access FileHold through any web browser, and you can also access FileHold on portable devices. So I have FileHold on my cell phone, and I can access any of the records of Image Advantage through my cell phone when I need those. So we've already talked about TOMRIMS. So when you put a document inside of FileHold, it goes into the FileHold library, and here's where we have TOMRIMS built into FileHold. So these are all the primary classifications of TOMRIMS. And if I click on one of these plus buttons, there's all the secondary classifications of TOMRIMS. Then we can go down to a 3rd level, tertiary level. And this is where your documents reside. So here's an example of storing bylaws for a municipality under CO1 bylaws. So as soon as you put a document into one of these secondary classifications, and there's what, 630 of them, Nina? You can just nod. Yeah, it's good, somewhere around there. So there's 630, give or take, of these secondary classifications. So as soon as you put a document into one of these folders, and this is sort of why we have the classification system and why this is important. As soon as you put a document into one of these folders, a number of things happens to it. The first thing you're doing is you're setting the security on that document. So down here, we have Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Resources. So you don't want somebody in the roads garage looking at everybody else's resumes. So as soon as you drop a document into one of these locations, you're setting the security on those documents, and only the users that have the rights to see those documents will even see these folders at all. So I'm an administrator, so I can see all of the folders. But somebody in the roads garage might only see administration and transportation services and vehicles and equipment, et cetera, for example. Another thing you're doing is you're setting the retention on those records. So as soon as you drop those records into that location, the retention clock starts clicking. And if the retention on a financial record, for example, is 7 years, at the end of the 7 years, that document will automatically be deleted from FileHold as part of the retention and part of the legal retention that's built into TOMRIMS. So some people might say, oh, geez, I don't want the computer deleting all my records automatically. But what it does is it sends a report to the user, to the owner of those records 2 weeks prior to the deletion of the records, of all of the records that it's going to be deleting in 2 weeks. And that gives you 2 weeks to browse through that report and say, oh, no, wait a second, we got a legal hold on this document. We need to move that somewhere else so that it's not deleted. You do want the system deleting all of your records automatically, but it does give you a report saying that it will be deleting those records. So let's get a document into FileHold. So each individual user has their own inbox. And if you just click on this little plus sign here, you can take a couple, these are just bylaws, and you can take 2 or 3 of them, and you can say, okay. And those are now sitting in the inbox ready for you to set the destination where they're supposed to go, and then set the metadata. So there's metadata applied to each one of these records also. So the metadata for a bylaw would be bylaw number, data session, description, amended, rescinded, repealed, for example. And the metadata for, let's say, a purchase order would be purchase order number, vendor name, and date. So all of the 630 different types of documents inside of TOMRIMS all have different metadata that you would enter to put those documents into the system. And that's really super important because that's what you're going to need to search for to find the documents and bring them to you. You can also drag and drop records. So I've just got my Windows Explorer here. And again, I've just got a couple more bylaws, and you can just drag and drop them into FileHold. Another way to get records into FileHold is FileHold integrates with all Microsoft Office applications. So here I'm in Microsoft Word, and you can see that there's a FileHold toolbar, and I want to add this document into FileHold. I just say Add. Okay, where does it go? This is a bylaw, so I'm going to put it into Publish Bylaws. As soon as I click on the button, up comes the metadata fields for a bylaw, which would be, again, as I just discussed, bylaw number, description, amended, rescinded, repealed, additional information, year, etc. Say Add, and then that document is then stored inside FileHold as a Microsoft Word document where it's supposed to go with the metadata applied to it. Next thing is email management. So right now, when there is an FIPA request or whatever, that doesn't just include the records that you have, the minutes of your meetings, planning documents, building documents, etc. That also includes emails. Is that right, Nina? Not again. Okay, yeah, thanks. So emails are an important part, and becoming more important is because that's how people communicate these days, is by email. So it's important to get, so we don't store all of your emails inside FileHold. What we do is we train your users to recognize when an email is a record, and when it is a record, that email goes into FileHold just like any other record. And as you can see, there's also a FileHold toolbar in Microsoft Outlook. You just say Add. And tell it where you want it to go, and put in the metadata, and that email is then stored inside FileHold just like any other document, and the retention, the security, and all of that is applied to it, just like any other document. Okay, now I'm going through this fairly, just a really sort of a rough overview. I could spend an hour doing a FileHold demonstration easily and show you all the different features, but I'm just going to sort of give you an idea of what what an electronic document records management system is and what it does. So the reason that you go through, all of the trouble of getting the system installed and buying time rims and doing all your scanning and everything else, the reason you do all this is so that you can find documents when you need to. And again, this people can be working remotely. I'm working remotely. As you can see, I'm working in my home office. And I access all of the records of Image Advantage. I very seldom go to the office these days because all of the records that I need to access are at my fingertips, and I can just sit here happily at home and be safe and not worry about the COVID. But if you want to go find a document, you just click on the search button. And I'm going to type in Greater Madawaska as a search term. And I'm going to say search. Oh, look, I have 5 documents with the name Greater Madawaska, either in the file name, in the metadata, or in the text, right inside the text of the documents themselves. So everything that you put into FileHold is full text searchable. So any minutes, bylaws, and building files, whatever, you can search right inside the text of those documents. So here I've got the Image Advantage Municipal Brochure as one of my search results. FileHold has a viewer built into it, so I'm going to say Open in FileHold Viewer. You could also double click on it, and it would open up as an Adobe Acrobat PDF file. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have searched on Madawaska Valley. I'm sorry, what am I thinking of? I always get those two mixed up. Redo my search. Okay. And same thing. File viewer. So there's Madawaska Valley right there. Okay, and it actually highlights what you've just searched upon. Okay, so that's a quick and dirty overview of what FileHold is and what it does. I think both Nina and I would be happy to answer questions now.
All right, I'll ask council if any member has any questions on this presentation.
Nope.
Well, Nina and Mark, it doesn't look like there are any questions today, but I really enjoyed the presentation. It was very informative, and it's amazing what can be done now. So really enjoyed
Nina,
it.
can you hear any questions?
No, I can't. Suzanne, maybe you might be on mute on your end, so unfortunately we can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, you guys are muted. Right.
Can you hear me?
I'll let them know in the chat that they.
Okay. All right, we're having problems, so we can hear you, but
The council chamber's Zoom computer mic is muted.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You can hear us?
all right. Well, I just wanted to say that there are no questions from council, but I wanted to thank you for your
Whoops, a little bit of a delay.
yeah.
Echo, echo, echo.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you. Very informative, and it's quite incredible what can be done these days. And thank you very much, both Nina and Mark, for your
Is it Monday,
presentation.
Mark? I feel like it might be Monday.
I know, right? Yeah. It's the first
Thank
day
you.
back for me, too.
All right.
So.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, everyone. Unfortunately, we've gone back to not being able to hear you. But it appears as though you're back on mute. So just in case you can hear us.
Now, what you could do is you could just text us messages or any questions, and then we could reply to them.
All right. Can we continue on now? All right.
Okay, they're up. Thank you.
I'll just put something in the chat, Mark, just in case you can't hear us.
Yeah.
Gwen, are we all good? Okay, we'll move into the
There we are.
council.
Just in case you can hear us, I put a chat or a message in the chat there if you just want to respond to that. We're not sure if you can hear us, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
that's easy then. Okay.
I got that taken care of on there, and we're having a little technical difficulty with their Zoom mic input, so. I got that taken care of on there, and we're having a little technical difficulty.
I see that. No problem. If there are no questions, would you like us to just let you go with the rest of your day?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. So nice to
Okay.
meet you. Happy New Year. We look forward to working with you. And if you have any questions after the fact, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. We would be happy to help you in any way. I think you'll find that both Mark and I are here to be very, supportive and basically walk you through this entire process. So thank you so much for your time. And again, have a great day.
Okay, thanks for your time, everybody. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move into the council and committee portion of the agenda. And we'll start with operations, roads, and waste management. Councillor Micah, you're the chair, and I'll hand you the gavel.
Sorry, I'm looking at two different agendas here. Just give me a sec to. Where am I? Oh, here we go. No, up here.
I've just texted Hillary to let him know that we're starting that portion of the meeting.
Should we wait for that?
No, you can go ahead.
You
Just,
go.
just let him know.
Okay, so this portion of the meeting, we will start with item 7.1, which is municipal reports. Lori's not here.
Yeah, due to the fact that it was January 3rd, we had identified to council there would be no municipal reports unless there was a time-sensitive matter, which is why we did the delegation, so there's no formal roads update report. I did, we did include the last roads report in the last council and committee meeting.
Sorry, I'm trying to get caught up with all these presentations where I'm at here. Okay, so there's no report, sorry about that. Now, I believe there's correspondence. The CAO has received an email from Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding the past winter storm event and municipal response to it over the holidays, and the CAO will speak to that.
Yeah, I just provided you a copy of the email. I did forward it to the operations manager and supervisor, and it was just the ministry sending it out to all of the municipalities. They wanted a kind of an overview and scenario as to what every municipality endured during the most recent winter storm, and how municipalities were able to cope with that, and which municipalities had to declare an emergency. So I think that was the first time I've received that. So I thought it was interesting. So I did forward it to Mike and to Hillary to respond as to, how we had to deal with it. And I know our deputy clerk had forwarded the County of Renfrew had declared a significant event, weather event, and now the municipality, they do have a process that when the county declares, we also support that declaration if it's going to affect us as well, correct? Yeah, so that will all be included to the ministry.
So I guess one of the items, or one of the benefits of being able to declare that, because this is, I've never seen us do that before. And we've had obviously many events in the past. But I did note, is that new legislation? Is there, because I've just never seen us do that before.
No,
so
we have been declaring those weather events for the last few years.
Have we? Okay,
Yes.
so
Yep.
before.
But there was a change in legislation.
Oh,
as
was
well.
there? Okay.
Just
okay, I was-
suggesting that we do. I think it's more a best practice than a legislation.
Well, I know there was so many.
Yes.
My Facebook feed was full of all the other municipalities doing it.
Yes.
But one of the things that I noted in that, which was, I thought, very good by doing that, is that it did allow our limited operations staff more time to be able to provide snow removal services and stay within the standards of the roads maintenance standards. So anyway, just that was, I thought, a good call on our part. Hillary, we're just talking about the information that we received from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs regarding declaring a emergency event based on the weather. Is there anything you want to add to that, or just?
No, I think they're seeking just information purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't declare emergency, but what is that called?
A significant weather event.
Significant weather event.
Yes.
So we replicate the counties. Whenever county declares significant weather event, the county, I get an email, so we replicate theirs.
Okay.
Excuse me. Because we have lots of county roads in our township, so that's where it comes from.
Okay, thanks, Hillary. And we'll move on to item 7.3, which is unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Seeing none, okay. I will,
I just wanted
Councillor
to
Knight.
pass on information that I received throughout the community through many people, and I'm sure you probably have heard the same thing about how well the streets and roads were maintained during that period of time. It was a difficult time, especially with the Christmas rush and everything on, and there was a lot of appreciation, so I would want to pass that on to the group.
All right.
anybody else? No? Okay, so we'll pass the gavel down.
All right, our next section is operations, water, wastewater and facilities, and Councillor Olszewski will chair this portion of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. 8.1 municipal reports. It's just Ontario Clean Water Agency expenditures requests that the council approve the Ontario Clean Water Agency expenditures as presented in the amount of $5,715.02, and the work order numbers are attached. Can I have a mover and a seconder on that? Moved by Councillor Blank and second by Councillor Schulist. That's carried. Correspondence and information, nothing. Unfinished business. Anything?
If I may.
Yeah.
Just did want to say that there had been an email forwarded to Ontario Clean Water about a smell, an odor issue, again, over the holidays, and the Ashley Pilgrim did reply to that, that they had addressed it. So,
Yeah.
that's correct. So I just
That
wanted
was
to make
just
sure.
the down by the at the sewage plant.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
correct.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
No. Alrighty.
All right,
I'll
so
pass
if
that
you could
back.
pass that over to Councillor Schulis,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll move to Fire and Protection Emergency Management, and Councillor Schulis will chair this portion of the meeting.
Okay, through Mr. Mayor, it looks like there's no municipal reports or correspondence or information, and I don't see any unfinished business unless someone has something at the table here. Not hearing any. I'll just pass on the gavel to the next one. Thank you, sir.
And for the next section is Recreation Community Development, and Councillor Blank chairs this section.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's been an eventful time now that COVID has opened things up again, and the arena ice surface and all these things have been fixed, and tremendous response by the community to attending events over the Christmas season, whether they were in Combermere or Barry's Bay or anywhere in between. So congratulations to the Barry's Bay Recreation Committee and the Combermere Recreation Committee for their work. One thing I would like to see is I think we need more coordination within our facilities through Hannah, to have a calendar of events available to the public at all times, and also available to the recreation committees to see what is going on within the community, so nothing gets duplicated at certain times. And both committees have expressed that during their meetings, and I wanted to bring that forth, so that will be something that I will be speaking with Hannah about. Also, I don't have it on hand, I couldn't find it again, but recently we published a report by Renfrew County regarding the health and welfare of the people in the municipality. It's devastating. Through drug and alcohol abuse, and I think we just received another thing regarding that, through unhealthy children, adults, seniors, and nothing available for them. And I think as a council, I think we have to be mandated to start to get things together so those that live in this municipality can get better and do better things. For instance, when I mentioned the calendars, well, how many people know there's pickleball on Wednesday nights, you know? Once the outdoor arena is open, how does anybody know that they're open? You know, Barry's Bay may be closed, but Combermere is going full tilt. You know, these are the things that we need to have out there so people can take part. So they can come from Wilno to Barry's Bay, or from Barry's Bay to Combermere, or Combermere to Wilno, so that we become a very active community. And being on this recreation community development, I think it's my responsibility to make sure that we get things moving. And I know that you all feel the same way. Also, this calendar could include station keepers events and things like that. The library events, because there are many things that are happening there as well. And I think that's very important. I think it's, because often online on Facebook you read, well, what's going on tonight or what's going on tomorrow? And I think it's us to do that. The other thing I wanted to bring out was the study that was recently completed. I know that nobody's had time to look at it. But not only do we need to look at the study for the Lakeshore Park, but I think we need to look at the parks in Combermere, especially the one down by the water where the Mayflower climbing thing is, that needs to be updated. That needs to be fixed up. We need to work on that. Okay? And also the one little gazebo area downtown. I think there's a lot more that can be done. So we have to work on that. And we'll know. There wasn't a Christmas light on the line post anywhere. Combermere has them. Barry's Bay has them. Wilno doesn't. Why? Okay. The other thing too I want to ask about is, and I'm glad you're here, Hillary, is this past summer had different events at Wilno at the park. I don't know how many times I went over that bridge and stumbled and actually saw people fall. We need to do something with that bridge. Do you have anything in the plans for that?
I believe it is repaired. We reboarded it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It is reboarded.
It is
I believe.
reboarded. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I seen some materials coming through.
Okay. I'll check that out on the next thaw. Other than that, I think we're on a road to many good things in the community, and I think we're going to have a very active community, and thanking everybody for helping out with all that. There is no correspondence or information, and unfinished business, well, there could be. Yes, David.
Oh, yeah,
Councillor Schultz.
Madam Chair, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you with the scheduling and that. It's not just that the public needs to know about these events, but, you know, when a recreation committee wants to do an event, they don't want to.
That's right. They don't want to duplicate.
You know, you could duplicate something or, you know, have an event where somebody else has already committed and they didn't know about it.
Exactly.
And then they fill in. So I totally agree with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, just to comment on the Christmas lights, just so that you're aware, Mary and Combermere.
Recording in progress.
Okay. God, I feel like there's a ghost in the room.
Just starting over again.
So the Christmas lights in Combermere, and congratulations and my thanks to the Palmer and Area Lions Club.
Okay.
They are the ones that is their lights.
Oh, perfect.
And they are the ones that, well, the township helps coordinate installation of the lights on the poles. And the lights that are installed onto the hall in Combermere, those lights were purchased by the Combermere Recreation Committee. So it's basically volunteer fundraising groups that are purchasing, and the municipality, and thank you for helping to coordinate the installation.
Okay.
So just so
Thank
that,
you. Yeah.
just so that you
I
know.
believe the ones in Barry's Bay were by businesses.
BIA.
BIA, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do something with our other municipalities.
You're the chair?
No, I am.
No, you're the chair. You're chair, yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to add, I do believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but there was previous discussion at a former council meeting with the previous council, and I think they were advised that there is no connections for lighting on the poles in Wilno, and that was identified as a potential grant opportunity.
Okay.
I'd like
Okay.
to look at that, but I do
Perfect.
believe it was brought forward when they were looking at purchasing lights.
Okay.
The recreation coordinator had asked about, you know, when the BIA is ordering lights, do we need similar lights somewhere else to save the cost? And,
Yes.
you know, we had talked before when we were looking at marketing and, you know, getting to a point of branding, you know, do we want to make sure that there's something that's the same in Combermere, Barry's Bay, and we'll know, be it a banner or a light or whatever. So they say, oh, I'm still in the same community, you know, that I'm in the same township, even though I'm crossing different hamlets, that they can identify that it's Madawaska Valley. So I think when they were doing those discussions, they were saying, but I don't think that the poles in Wilno at this point would allow that. So we'd have to, you know, look for some grant funding to be able to bring that. So.
But we do have banners up in Wilno.
Yes, there are banners up, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we need a lot more than that, so, yes.
The other solution maybe, and we'll know, is instead of trying to put electrical outlets into those poles, is to look at a lot of the lights now have a little solar panel on them, and you can you can set them up that way too. So that might be a cheaper route to go.
Oh, excellent idea.
No, sorry, can I just add to that? So when it comes, Willo's tricky in the only sense that it's a boundary. So is this something, sorry, my voice is catching, something that we'd also want to talk to Killoon, Haggerty, and Richards about? Because, I mean, how many poles are on our side of the boundary?
7, I counted them.
Oh, is it? No, and that's,
There's 7,
I don't
on the right-hand side of 60.
Right.
And the other side, there are a couple, but I don't think it would be of any point.
Doesn't matter, okay.
Yes.
But to that point, that was discussed. We had a meeting, Hannah, myself, and Ed Shapiro about some things in the park and when we were reviewing the flags. And it was identified, and Hannah is part of like a joint group with them. And she did say that when we were doing that, they would open that discussion because they do buy banners and stuff for Church Street and whatnot, right?
Yes.
So that already was a door that was opened.
Okay.
And especially when I say opened is, when there's beautification, grant funding, and like energy retrofitting, if
Yes.
there's new ways of doing it with solar panel, that anytime you collaborate with somebody else, especially if it's intermunicipal, then there's more opportunities to get that funding.
That funding, yeah. I don't know how many more up, because it just goes up the hill to the church then.
Well, Skibo's Hill,
To go up
that's
that
the
way.
boundary.
Yeah, that's the boundary,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
that's where
even
it
at the
ends, yeah.
corner, like there's one that is KHR and then Church
Yeah.
Street and on the other
Yes.
side. And I apologize, I had told Hannah there was no reports, so that's why like Hannah's not at
Yes,
the
yeah,
meeting, and
that's
so I
okay.
do apologize, we'll
That's
take
okay.
notes.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Hillary. I'll pass the gavel back.
All right, and we'll move into planning matters and the statutory matter meeting under the Planning Act. So municipal reports is the first item. And Luke, I'll call upon you to present this.
Thank you. Is this on? Yeah. Okay. This is just a summary of information for council. It kind of serves as a monthly update, as it's entitled. And I think one of the purposes was I was just informing council of some Planning Act notices for zoning amendments that have been sent out. So I thought it would just be timely to put it on this January agenda, which I will do now and continue to do in the future as these things arise, so that they're presented at this council time. And then when we have a public meeting, which will be scheduled for the council meeting in January, then council has seen these and is aware of them. And we'll go through that process prior to the January meeting. As I noted in this, these couple zoning amendments, they're not overly significant. They're all related to severance activity in the community, and some of them are just kind of technical in nature. And like I said, it relates to maybe a lot addition, or one of them is the creation of a new severed lot. There, and one of them is for the creation of a new lot. But with severances, often severances come with conditions, and the conditions are often fulfilled by the municipality. So that's, we have to follow up with these conditions to then clear the severances. I say in my report that the November building report is attached. It's not. I must have shuffled around my attachments. It fell off. I apologize for that. It's the only significant one, as I note here, is that a building permit was issued for the P38 propane depot on Highway 60 there. The value of that permit was not what they paid the municipality, but the value of the construction was $457,000 for council's information. And what else do I have in there? Oh, in addition, we'll have a minor variance, which we've done before, but we'll go through that process again. We follow kind of a bit of a script under the Planning Act to process those. And what else? We have the King's Landing subdivision that I've drafted. I just wanted to inform council that I've drafted some conditions for that through, I feel, a fairly robust process by meeting with staff and discussion with our group of engineers in Ottawa and whoever else to get input on that. So hopefully I'll get some feedback from the developer in time. I've just released them in draft right now to the developer just to see what is going to concern them with how the conditions have been drafted, but then we'll bring them back to the table and have a discussion about those. We have the developer for the Lakewood subdivision is looking to proceed with the phase 2 portion of that development. That's also in the report. That's 23 lots. That just hit my desk in December, so council will see that again. So that's nice to see that they're looking to continue with that. and some severance application activity that I've included for. I'd like just to keep council informed about where the new lots are being created. If people appreciate that, then I'll
Yes.
continue to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what happens? For council's information, I included this. Some severances can be fairly straightforward, and some are less so. So that's one thing I'm trying to get on top of the outstanding severance applications that are out there, and the ones that are still outstanding. Some of them have complications with them, so we'll have a discussion about those, and I'll just inform council of my thoughts, and we can have a bit of a discussion, and I'll aim for the February committee meeting to do that. That's my aim. Not included in the report is back to the building, as Councillor Micah asked last time about where the location of the building permits were. So what we've done, we haven't got a response. We're using the CGIS. We were able to, again, with technology, we're very able to quickly, we gave them a dump of 2 years of building permits. Because all our building permits, when our chief building official processes them, he has to report to StatsCan and MPAC and everybody. They all have the roll numbers. As soon as you have the roll numbers, that means you can map them. So away we go. We've provided that to CGIS, 2 years of, so we'll be able to start doing that now on a, I think
That's great.
I think it's great too.
Extremely helpful.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it, and past capacities I haven't been able to because I haven't had a platform like CGIS, but now with that, where we can input our information and then it'll appear. So it's working on that. Well, might have to scrub it and see how it looks, but that's something that's
fabulous.
that's
I
great.
think it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what it looks like. And what else, and last but not least, we've talked about development charges. We had a council workshop for development charges in December with Watson and Associates, who gave an overview of that process and legislation. The background study has now been posted on the municipal website for public viewing, and we've given a notice for the statutory public meeting, which is to be held on January 12th at 4 o'clock. And we've met our notice requirements for that.
All right. Sue?
I just had a question about the responses that you received. So as you receive the responses from the public notice that's gone out about the development charges, so that will be compiled for that public meeting, and council will have ample time to review those responses before that meeting?
Yes, and I think I haven't received anything to date yet, and Gwen is listed as the contact on that, and so we'll see what comes from that notice. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. I just want to see what the next steps were, so that council has ample time to go through any responses when received.
Yes.
Councillor Micah?
Sorry, I just noted that you said that the public meeting is at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Wouldn't that have been much better to have that meeting at, say, 7 o'clock at night? Most public meetings of that kind of nature happens at night because people work and they can't attend.
I think the time was 4 to 6. Is that?
Yeah, but that's
the
irrelevant,
time?
Sue. People
Yeah.
work. Like, I'm sorry, they do. They don't get in the door till 6 o'clock at night. And it's going to impact potentially them.
Yeah, that's how the notice was proposed. On that, I agree with you. It's very difficult to satisfy everybody's schedule.
Well, no, but we have to always remember that what we do here is provide a public service.
Yes.
It's not to convenience us,
No,
the
I-
municipal staff, consultants, or otherwise. It's to service the public, and the public works. So they can't attend things during daytime hours, you know? And so I think going forward this is unique, but large public meetings, this isn't just a basic meeting that's specific to 1 or 2 people. This is a huge community meeting that can literally impact the entire future of this municipality and any property owner in it. I think it's very, very prudent that is number one key, timing.
That's noted.
Just a comment on that. The meeting will be live streamed or on Zoom. I know it's not as good as being there, but at least it does present another option if it works.
So if you're out in the bush working,
You can come home.
You're gonna
No, you can come home and watch it anytime.
really?
Yeah.
And you're computer literate and you're up to date on live streaming. I'm just
no,
saying.
I'm saying it's not as good as being able to be there, but it is another option that is available. The other thing, since the responses are going to Gwen, and we know how important this meeting is, if we get an idea or that there's going to be a huge crowd here, do we have a backup plan? Can we move the meeting to a larger hall, or?
Yeah, we know what the capacity is here, and we have an idea based on, input coming in or whatnot, but we have, I think the capacity here is 48.
And I personally thought this would be big enough, but I'm just saying, if we get a sense that there may be more people than that would like to attend, we do have a backup plan. Okay,
We've
thank
not
you.
received anything from any member of the public or business as of yet.
But we've only been really open one day, or half a day.
It was my email address.
It goes to the email, so
Yeah.
we haven't
Yeah.
received anything yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you, Luke. Are there any questions for Luke? I just want to say I find his reports very, very helpful, and it keeps me right up to date on things. I feel good getting this, so thank you for your work on that.
Great, perfect.
Yeah.
Just because I'm here, I'll mention one thing. So I'm trying to move through a batch of shoreline road allowance sales as well, and we just closed a notice period on those that we were required to do. We put an ad in the newspaper, et cetera, so staff will move forward with those, and they'll come to council in time. That's
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And with that, we'll move into finance and admin. And first item 12.1 is the appointment of integrity commissioner, and the CAO is going to provide a brief update as directed by council. We had a long discussion on this previously, and we did ask for a little bit of information. So, Sue?
Thank you, Councillor Wilmer. So as directed by council, I was asked to contact a few of the individuals that had submitted with some follow-up questions and process breakdown, and I am providing council a recommendation for appointment for consideration. If I may read the recommendation.
Yes.
That council approved the CEO clerk recommendation to appoint Tony Fleming as integrity commissioner, and that staff is directed to bring back the appointment bylaw at the January 17th regular council meeting for council approval.
Okay, and I'll ask for a recorded vote on this, and we will have, if I get a mover and seconder to put it on the table, then there can be discussion before we vote on it. So, do I have a mover?
So move.
Councillor Blank, and seconder, Councillor Schulis. Any discussion on this item? Okay, if not, then I've asked for a recorded vote. Councillor Micah.
Yay.
Okay, Councillor Blank.
Yes.
Councillor Schulis.
Yay.
And Councillor Olszewski.
Yes.
Okay, and so that is carried. All right, the next item is the cost of living allowance, and we had discussion on this. I think Sue's provided two options, but I'll turn it over to Amanda first. Just perhaps you want to say a few words. We did have lengthy discussion on this, but
Sure. So at the previous council committee meeting, a report was provided to council to entertain a 2.5% cost of living allowance increase for the non-unionized wage grid in the council remuneration bylaw for 2023. The Bank of Canada CPI inflation rate is indexing significantly high in the 6%, and although our bylaw for remuneration stipulates that council shall increase it annually by the Bank of Canada CPI inflation rate, did not have a comfortable feeling just presenting this bylaw without any discussion from council members, being it so high. There was discussion about possibly providing a scenario such as a bonus where a lump sum was then split up amongst all staff members equally. I have received a comment from the Human Resources Department at the County of Renfrew. They have stated that we should take caution against changing from a COLA increase to a shared bonus structure, as the pay grade is created based on a scoring system that values work proportionally to the efforts and responsibility. The split of money is not meant to be equal, but meant to be equitable based on the inherent value of each role to the township. There may also be some pushback from the community to see bonuses being paid versus salary. Using a bonus structure like this could be considered unfair if a new hire receives the same amount as a more senior co-worker due to responsibility differences. Employment contracts may also indicate COLA increases. Also, please note we did not receive an outstanding response rate to the 2022 salary survey, and therefore it does not reflect all 17 lower tier municipalities. So to that, I have looked at a few employment contracts, and there is mention of COLA increases. However, it's at council's discretion. It doesn't say it's a requirement. Also, at the previous meeting, there was discussion of what are the salaries within the county of Renfrew. So I did provide that, and that's what that comment is about. It's not as there's not a lot of data on that based on previous years. Typically, there has been many more municipalities reporting. Not sure why previous years or this past year they did not report. A lot of municipalities did not report. So I have a recommendation asking for council to either not provide a cost of living allowance or to provide whatever they feel that percentage increase would be. I'll just put it out there if council has any other questions.
All right, are there any questions for Amanda first, or any thoughts? I know I'm going to recommend that we go with option 1 in the amount of 2%, and I feel that's fair. It could be a little low at this time, but I think we have to be careful too. And I think everything is really up in the air financially right now. We're seeing an increase now, but it could slow down later in the year too. So, Councillor Blank.
Yes, I agree with a 2% COLA. However, I do not agree with a 2% increase for council enumeration for this year. We just got started.
Yeah, and I could agree with that too. So, Joe or Councillor Olszewski?
Just about like a 2% COLA, I don't think there should be any COLA, and the simple reason is the fact that just because you work for the municipality, we're going to give you a cost of living increase when none other taxpayers who pay for it in the municipality get the same thing, right? Like, we're already talking about budgeting to increase taxes 2%, so we're going to increase the taxes 2%, and then we're going to give the people who work for the municipality a 2% increase. It doesn't make sense, right?
All right, any other comments?
One more thing.
Okay, yeah.
If we were to give 2%, what's the number? Total number, as in, how much is that costing? If you were going to give a COLA, a 2% to the staff who aren't unionized following this, what is that? $10,000, $20,000? What is it?
I think the last report was 48,000, 2.5%. I think
Yeah.
that was the last report council got, was 48,000.
That was a 2.5, yeah.
40,000. Like, that's a lot of money, right? It is. And considering the only people who are receiving any benefit from it are the ones who are working for the municipality, well, they're already in one of the best job positions in the municipality as is, right? That's my opinion.
All right, I have moved that we increase it 2%. I think I have a seconder in Councillor Blank.
For 2%,
but we're removing the council.
Removing council. I
Yeah.
will second that.
Yeah. All right, any further discussion? If not, I'll ask for a recorded vote. Councillor Micah?
I'm going to vote yes, and I'll tell you why, because I really don't want to argue about it. So I'm just going to go along with it. But what I would like to see in the future is a merit-based system. This, just an automatic increase for showing up to work, I think is nothing I've ever gotten the privilege of in my entire working life. It's based on a merit-based system, and that is conducted annually through reviews based on a point system. where basically by showing up, you could get 1%, but then it could go up from there. Because again, this COLA increase is only one of 2 potential increases annually that the staff can get here. So 2% here and up to how many percent for merit? What's the maximum merit increase?
3%.
So potentially, every employee could be annually receiving 5% increases every single year. I know that's great, and don't wanna be mean to anybody, but that is completely incompatible of what goes on in the average working world in private enterprises. It is, it's just completely, anybody would love that. So this is this two-pronged approach. I think that it would be worth our time to look at a one-pronged approach, because I believe in merit increases, recognizing those that contribute significantly or exceptionally in a certain year. There's all kinds of scenarios for that. But just automatic, you're getting increases by just showing up, I'm sorry, because I think you should be earning increases.
Okay.
And those that do exceptional work should be recognized for it, and those that just show up should also be recognized for that as well.
Okay,
And
Councillor,
that's my opinion.
Councillor Blank?
I vote yes, and I'm in opposition to your feelings about the merit, and I don't believe in that. I've worked in many positions over the number of years of my work world, and there is no merit involved in any of the areas I was in.
But there is merit.
All right, but right now we're dealing with the cost of living. Councillor Schulas?
Yes.
And Councillor Olszewski?
No.
Okay, so it's carried. And we'll move on to correspondence and information. We have a letter from the Minister of Infrastructure, December 2022, regarding the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund. This is just for information. Did you have any comments on it, Amanda? Or?
Just that, so we did receive that 15% reduction. So we were 15% lower than what we received in previous years. As
Yeah.
they had cautioned, we'd either get 15% more or 15% less. And we
Okay.
were below.
Councillor
Yes, so,
Olszewski?
which equates to $60,000.
Yeah, 50
And less funding, so we've just spent 40 more and we've lost 60. So that's not a good mathematical look for a budget. So why? I read the notice, but why have we lost? Do you know why?
No, they haven't released the structure on how they quantify who received what and why.
Is that something that we can
Appeal.
send emails questioning Ministry of Infrastructure, or Municipal Affairs and Housing, or both?
I mean, at the upcoming Roma meeting, it might be a good discussion topic. I'm sure a lot of municipalities will be bringing this up.
'Cause I think
Well, for the Roma meeting, it would be nice to have more information on why that reduction occurred, and to sort of figure out how, is there anything we can do to make sure we don't get it reduced? And
that's the thing, we don't know why.
no, so I think that's something that's worth asking and finding out how they come up with the funding amounts each year. So.
Is this something we're doing wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we've done
Or are they
everything
just simply
they've
cutting
asked,
back, you know what I
right?
mean?
Like, I mean, we've done our asset management planning, which is what they have been very strict on us. We're reporting it, so I'm not really sure, when they say that the OSIF funding needs to go towards our top tier assets, our roads, bridges, water and sewer networks, we're doing all that we can. A lot of municipalities don't do roadway network updates unless they receive grant funding. For smaller municipalities, we're kind of standing out in the middle of these other municipalities because a lot of them don't put their own money, their own tax dollars to roads.
Exactly, and so sorry, this was something that I feared years ago sitting here when this asset management came forward. And at the time, we were structuring, because we were trying to be good, and we were being told repeatedly, oh no, if we do all this, we'll be in better positions to apply for grant funding, we'll be rewarded for being financially prudent. And I thought then, as I'm hoping I'm wrong and not the case, that we are funding our stuff through high taxation. And the government is looking at us and going, they don't need the money because they're financially, and we're overtaxing versus other municipalities. I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Well,
it's
I-
always my fear.
Yeah, we're speculating when we get into that, but I appreciate where you're coming from on that, Councillor Micah, and I think it is a good topic for discussion at Roma, and I think that would be our best approach, is to find out more about why and how we can maximize what we get annually.
Do we know what other municipalities in Renfrew County have received or lost?
Yes, the
They did
document is
release
public.
a press release. I didn't look at other municipalities. My apologies, but I didn't.
Okay. Can that be sent? Can you email
Yeah,
that?
I can forward the email to everybody.
I'm just curious.
Does it give a comparator to last year to this, just so we can see who went up and down?
Yeah, that's what I'm
It
curious.
should.
Okay.
I'll take a look and see what it looks like.
We're probably doing everything right. That's why we're being penalized.
Yeah. And I hope that's not the case, but sometimes that happens. All right. Any other discussion on that? If not, the CAO clerk did put a additional memo from Renfrew County Health in your baskets regarding increase in overdoses, etc. So just something to have a look at. It really ties in with what Councillor Blank was talking about earlier during the recreation portion. The only other thing I have under court, I just wanted to advise council that over the holidays I was fortunate enough to be able to do a New Year's levy broadcast with Barry Conway as the producer and Sean Conway interviewing me, and they both do a wonderful job. It's quite impressive, their setup, and we all know how Sean can speak. And anyway, it can be viewed on the Opeongo Line blog network, and actually quite good. May not all be factual, but most of it is. So,
Was the levy dry?
yeah, the levy was dry. Believe it or not, no, it was in the afternoon. Yeah. Anyway, okay, I just wanted to mention that. And where do we go now? We're going into okay, regular council portion of the agenda. So we have regular council meeting minutes from December 20th. So I need a mover and seconder that the regular council meeting minutes for December 20th, 2022 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover? Councillor Micah, seconder, Councillor Olszewski. Any comments, errors in them? Anything you notice? If not, all in favor? And that's carried. We have no business arising from the minutes. We have no bylaws. We do have one item in camera, and so I need a mover to move in camera. Councillor Schulis and Councillor Blank.
I don't need to see my name printed.
Yeah. So with that, we're in camera, and it should just be a short one. We just need to approve the minutes.